always end up talking about this again, right?
I'll talk to you more about it when I.
Okay, cool.
All right, it's going live. It's live.
Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna take this time because I haven't done it. I see brothers and sisters in the chat room. Before we dive into Romans, I haven't did this in a while. Before we dive into Dawiyah, you're gonna be reading. Before we dive into the continuance of Romans 11, does anybody in the, I say chat room, what is it called? The other people that are logged in to Zoom, if you have any questions concerning what we've been talking about, this shot or anything related, now is the time to unmute your mic and ask the question, because that's something it's so important that I don't want to just address, or I don't want to just give the brothers or sisters in that case, if they were there, that's sitting in the classroom, the opportunity to have their concerns addressed. I want whoever's available, whoever's in here, whoever's online now, if they had that, go ahead and ask the question now before we get into it, because this is not something to be playing with. And I know a whole lot of people already. Let me say this out: people are getting the shot and they're just dying during the course of the day. So like there's one lady walking down the street eating a snow cone and she just collapses and boom, and dies. Another person is driving a motorcycle and he just collapses, got his mask on, and boom, and dies. He didn't run into nothing. His motorcycle is literally laying right down next to him. He just had some problems, feeling not so good, stopped the bike and laid it down and got on the ground and laid down and died. Other people are falling asleep behind the wheel of their cars, causing 20-something car pileups, like and killing people.
A co-worker of mine had to have brain surgery.
Yeah, man, because of the blood clots in the brain, a cerebral hemorrhage, right?
Yeah.
Or not hemorrhage, but clotting, thrombosis up in the brain.
Thrombosis.
So, okay, no one unmuted themselves and asked the question. So listen, brothers, we were in the process of breaking down Romans chapter 11 and verse, let me get to that, but I believe it was verse 12. I know that we were going into where it says the fall of Israel was the riches of the Gentiles. And so I was walking y'all in the scriptures through that process. Everything, let me see. Okay, yeah. Everything that Paul mentions in that chapter, the whole book, but we're dealing with the chapter, it is putting into a proper perspective our history. It's taking the concept or the notion of salvation, and he's walking us through how this thing developed. So when he says, Dawiyah, in Romans, let me get there. In Romans chapter 11 and verse 11 and 12, it was verse 12 that we finished up on, but I want you to read 11 and 12.
Romans chapter 11, verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? The Most High forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
So we had covered that completely. Yes, Dawiyah.
I'm glad you brought this topic up, because when I was reading today, I was reading Lamentations, and then chapter 1, and it even went into sovereignty. It went into the same concept we're talking about the Gentiles end up becoming free states because we went in captivity. I didn't see it before though. It was right.
You see that, right?
It was right in my face. I didn't even see it.
And that's why. Listen up. That's why. So when we go through these, we have to find all the places that Paul is making reference to, because what happens is there's a message that the Most High gave him to give us to spread that Christ had already brought. And he's taken Israel's present state that we still are in, which is captivity, and he's putting it into perspective with respect to salvation. And so now you said it was Lamentations chapter 1.
Verse 1. It says,
go ahead.
how doth the city sit solitary that was full of people? How has she become a widow? She that was great among the nations. I didn't pick that up. Somebody
Right.
great among the nations. And princess among the provinces. And princess among the provinces. How is she become tributary?
Exactly.
I didn't see that.
And it's saying we once used to have princes in all of these places, and now we're paying tribute. But that's what verse 11 is saying. And we covered that thoroughly enough. We can always expound more, just like you just did. But you see now that we took this approach to saying, okay, every chapter or every topic that the Most High have me to share with y'all, it's always going to take a lot of time, because now it's time to move toward what? Really understanding the Bible and not just giving a skim over breakdown.
Huh.
So let's hit verse 12. Go ahead.
12. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness?
And that's what we were breaking down. And so we were going down the timeline of how the nations got our riches, like how the Gentiles ended up with our wealth. So we went as far as we already read 2 Kings chapter 15, when Tiglath-Pileser was being paid tribute by the king of Israel at that time. We went to chapter 16, and read the same. We read chapter 17 when the Most High had completely threw out all of the tribes, right? And we left off, I wanted to go to one more concerning Assyria. So I wanted you to read W chapter 18, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16. 2 Kings chapter 18, verses 1 through 16.
Come. 2 Kings chapter 18. 1 through 18, you said?
Yes, 1 through 16. Now, what this is going to show us is after chapter 17, we know that Shalmaneser, the Most High, used him, and then Sennacherib came, and he did more and was like the cleanup person, but then his armies was destroyed when he tried to roll on the kingdom of Judah, because the Most High hadn't grown weary necessarily of the kingdom of Judah just yet. But when he did, he used the Babylonians, and we'll move on to that after this. So go ahead.
2 Kings chapter 18, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hosea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign. And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. He removed the high places and brake the images and cut down the groves and break in pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made.
Now, why did he do that? If you go back to history, remember, the Most High was taking this through a certain section of the wilderness where the people were being bitten by flying fiery serpents, poisonous damn serpent that flew, man. And we were scared. And so the Most High had them take some brass and make a serpent and put it on the end of a staff and hold it up really high, so that all the congregation that was passing through that person, that region of dangerous terrain because of this fiery serpent. And when it says fiery, it means poisonous, right? The venom produced that inflammation that end up killing you. So when they're talking about them breathing, fire-breathing dragons, although that does exist and it's called Leviathan in the Bible, this one isn't talking about that. So he gave them something to fix their to focus on so that they wouldn't look down and because of their lack of faith get bit. Well, 1,000 years later, what are they doing? They're worshiping it. And that's why this king came and said, you know, I'm going to destroy this along with all the other groves, with all the other places and objects of idolatry. Go ahead.
For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it. He called it Nehushtan.
Yeah, Nehushtan. They didn't give the damn thing a name. Go ahead.
He trusted in the Lord, power of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor any that were before him.
Listen to that. That means from the time of Solomon up into him and after him, he was the last righteous king, y'all. Hezekiah. Go ahead.
For he clave to the Lord and departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which the Lord commanded Moses. And the Lord was with him, and he prospered whithersoever he went forth. And he rebelled against the king of Assyria and served him not.
In other words, remember, this is the son of Ahab who was over Judah. His son, he said, you know what, we ain't serving the Assyrians. And he broke away from them. And the Most High listened. Listen to what happened. Go ahead.
He smote the Philistines, even unto Gaza, and the borders thereof, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city.
That means he began to drive, change places, my water. I don't know why he didn't already do that. Oh, just come right, just scoot over to your left. To your left, your other left. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, you don't, okay, that's good, that's good. Go ahead, Op.
He smote the Philistines, even unto Gaza, and the borders thereof, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city.
Go ahead.
It came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hosea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Salmanasseh, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria, and besieged it.
So this is telling us what was going on in the kingdom of Judah, while what took place in chapter 17 that we read last week, this is being reiterated here. In other words, this is not Shalmaneser coming up again. It's letting us know that when Shalmaneser came against Israel in the last chapter, the previous chapter, this is what was taking place in the kingdom of Judah. All right, go ahead.
And at the end of 3 years, they took it, even in the 6th year of Hezekiah. That is the 9th year of Hosea, king of Israel.
So that means Hosea had been reigning 9 years when the Most High brought Shalmaneser to make a full end, so to speak. But then in Judah, their new king Hezekiah had only been reigning 6 years. Go ahead.
Samaria was taken, and the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah, and in the Habar, and in Harbar by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of Medes.
Now, listen, it's reiterating what we read in chapter 17. All right, go ahead.
Because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their power, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and would not hear them, nor do them.
Go ahead.
Now, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, did Sennacherib,
Sennacherib,
king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Judah and took them.
Go ahead.
And Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria, to Lachish, saying, I have offended. Return from me. That which thou puttest on me will I bear. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold.
Now stop. When he says this, this is what was to be paid periodically. Normally, when they have a tribute, the tribute is either once a year or once a month or once every 3 months. But what this is showing you is that now the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, after Shalmaneser took the north, and the southern kingdom is what? Is being forced to pay tribute. Now remember what we just read. We just read in verse 7 that as soon as he came into power, he rebelled against the king of Assyria. So now the king of Assyria came to make some, to settle some issues. So remember, why are we reading this? We're chronicling what it means in Romans chapter 11 and verse 12, when it says that if the riches of Israel went to the Gentiles, we're finding out little by little, the Most High was just what? Was bleeding Israel for our rebellion. Go ahead.
And in the treasures of the king's house. I'll read it from the top. And
Okay.
Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasures of the king's house. At that time, did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord and from the pillars which Hezekiah, king of Judah, had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Assyria.
That means they completely stripped it out. They started putting gold off the doors and off the pillars. Go ahead.
And the king of Assyria sent Tartan and Rabsaris and Rabshakeh from Lachish to King Hezekiah with a great host against Jerusalem. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they were come up, they came and stood by the conduit of the upper pool, which is in the highway of the fuller's field.
Go ahead.
And when
That's it. That was it, actually. It was verse 16. It was chapter 18, verses 1 through 16. So now you see that even Judah hasn't been conquered, but now they're being what? They're being forced to pay tribute, and more of Israel's wealth is being siphoned off to the Gentiles. Now from there, we go to the book of Chronicles, and well, we're going to read. I think there's. Let's go to Second Chronicles. It's going to be chapter 36, and I think we're going to just read all the way down to verse 21, or just the whole chapter. But let me see. Yeah, we're going to read. We'll read the whole chapter. I just want to make some points. What are we focusing on? We're focusing on the riches of Israel being transferred to the nation. All right. Go ahead.
Chronicles, chapter 36, verse 1. Then the people of the land took Jehoaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king in his father's stead in Jerusalem. Jehoaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And the king of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem and condemned the land in 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold.
So now listen. So now here we are in Judah's final days, in the final days of Judah's monarchy. Okay, this is the final period where Judah last had. After this, even though we were allowed to come back and rebuild, from this point forward, we would do everything as subjects to foreign kings. So this is the last of the wealth getting ready to be siphoned out. Go ahead.
And the king of Egypt made Eliakim his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Joachim. And Necho took Joahaz, his brother, and carried him to Egypt.
So he went to Egypt in captivity. He got taken to be a prisoner for his rebellion. Go ahead.
Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, his
See
power.
that? Now we got another evil one. Go ahead.
Against him came up
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar, yeah.
Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried all the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon.
Now this is the last of any wealth. The last of the wealth is going. Go ahead.
And put them in his temple at Babylon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and his abominations, which he did, and that which was found in him, behold, they are written in the books of the kings of Israel and Judah. And Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his stead.
Now, before you move forward, y'all have to forgive me, man. I've been going 7 days a week and my voice is giving out. And tomorrow, tomorrow is my roughest day of the week yet, right? Because I do 7, 8 hours. I want to go, we're gonna come back here, but I want to show you why the Most High had the Babylonians come and take us down. Initially, that wasn't the Most High's will. He wanted us to serve them and pay tribute to them, and we could stay at home. But the kings, and therefore Israel kept on rebelling, so the Most High had Nebuchadnezzar come and just level the place. The Most High was being merciful with Judah, y'all. He did everything he could to keep us, to punish us and allow us to be punished and stay in our land. But we wouldn't do it. So you're going to go to the book of Baruch. The book of Baruch in the Apocrypha, and we're going to read chapter 2. Baruch chapter 2, verses 11 through 26.
All right. (11 through 26). All right.
Yes.
Baruch chapter 2, verse 11 through 26. And now, O Lord, power of Israel, that has brought thy people out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand and high arm, and with signs, and with wonders, and with great power, and has got thyself a name, as appeareth this day. O Lord, our power, we have sinned, we have done ungodly, we have dealt unrighteously in all thine ordinances.
Mm-hmm.
Let thy wrath turn from us, for we are but a few left among the heathen, where thou hast scattered us.
The Most High have been reducing us out. You know, I used to take issue. I used to take issue with Esau. I used to feel that Esau was using psychological warfare by always referring to us as the minorities. You know, but guess what? We are. And the Most High said that. The Most High said that what? Like he rejoiced over us to multiply us and to do good unto us. This is one of the curses, one of the warnings that the Most High gave us. He says, so the Lord shall rejoice to what? To destroy you and to bring you to naught. So when we read the scriptures and when we hear Esau and all these places refer to us to the minority, la minoría, that's how they say that in Spanish, and all over the places, we're that out. And then how the amount that we've allowed by the Most High to procreate and to repopulate the majority of those are going to be killed in judgment. And it's already started. All right. The Most High, listen, for all of those people that then got that thing, that vax, shit, that's the Most High's will. Then not all of the people that refuse the vax are going to be saved just because they refuse that. You still got cats out there that are doing drugs, killing people, homosexuals. A lot of these cats ain't taking that. They know it. A lot of so-called church Christians, man, they recognize the mark, but they don't recognize that they already have the foundation, the philosophical mark, the doctrine. This idolatry. Christianity is the most popular form today of idolatry, and nobody in the world knows it. All the denominations, even the Edomites and their brothers and sisters that know about the Catholic Church and all that, you're in the offspring of the Catholic Church. There's only one truth, and you all know it. We're studying it. There ain't no various offshoots of the truth. Ain't no Christianity. Christ ain't coming for everybody. Ain't no word can go to the other nations. Those of the other nations that come back to the Most High through us to serve him through us, the Most High say he's going to gather them. There are foreign people that are going to make it out of this. He's going to preserve them. And the scriptures tell you that. That's why we're not supposed to be running around here acting like all these other groups where you just cussing Esau out and doing all that. That's in the scriptures. The Most High said he's going to gather other people aside from those Israelites which he shall gather. So that's the only way, is to come in through the truth. And so it's going to be a whole lot of dead people. That which the Most High have allowed, for instance, all of our brothers and sisters that are being brought up out of Latin America to flood the borders over there, they're right there in Texas. They're being used as pawns. I don't doubt for 1 second that among them, the Most High have people stated for salvation, but for the most part, they've been brought up to contribute to chaos and be used as that demographic of death angels that's going to feed the fires of death and chaos because of desperation. Because, like the scriptures say, the lack of bread and great tribulation. So we are the minority. And this is what this is confirming. The Most High have scattered us among the nations, and everywhere where he scattered us, he made us few. And he still referred to us as being as the sands of the sea, but we're not like we used to be. That's in the scriptures as well. The Most High said, though the house of Israel be as the sand of the seas, which cannot be numbered, yet shall a remnant be saved. Go ahead, I'll read on down, call the verse.
Verse 14. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and our petitions, and deliver us for thy own sake, and give us favor in the sight of them which have led us away.
So that means what? That means give us what? Give us favor. That means let them treat us better. And Solomon prayed that prayer at the dedication of the temple. That if what? That if we went out, if we did that which was displeasing, if we sinned, and he said, for there's no man that doesn't sin, and then he grow displeased with us and send us into the land of our captivities, that if we turn back to him in the land of our captivity, Solomon prayed that the Most High, the same thing, that he would give us favor in the land of our captivity. And that's what we have. Those of us that don't come back to the Most High, we have it. We have that favor. Only way we relinquish or we get rid of that favor is we forfeit it through disobedience, right? And refusal to come back to the Most High. Go ahead, I'll continue to read.
That all the earth may know that thou art the Lord, our power, because Israel and his posterity is called by thy name.
Right.
O Lord, look down from thy holy house and consider us. Bow down thine ear, O Lord, to hear us. Open thine eyes and behold, for the dead that are in the graves, whose souls are taken from their bodies, will give unto the Lord neither praise nor righteousness.
Yeah, he's saying, listen, the dead people who's done departed, they can't praise you or be righteous. He's making, this person's prayer is making his case for the Most High to bless us now while we're alive. Go ahead.
But the soul that is greatly vexed, which goeth stooping and feeble, and the eyes that fail, and the hungry soul will give thee praise and righteousness, O Lord.
Yeah, those that are alive and suffering, we're the ones that's here to be able to praise you. Go ahead, if you cause these nations to be merciful to us. Continue.
Therefore, we do not make our humble supplication before thee, O Lord, our power, for the righteousness of our fathers and our kings. For thou hast sent out thy wrath and indignation upon us, as thou hast spoken by thy servants, the prophets, saying, Thus saith the Lord, bow down your shoulders to serve the king of Babylon. So shall ye remain in the land that I gave unto your fathers.
See, this is where he's going. He's talking about what we just read. What happened? We wouldn't do it. The Most High said, bow down your shoulders and serve the king of Babylon. That means whatever they ask of you, you make it a point to put the priority and do it. Tribute, daughters, slaves, you send them that. Read on down.
But if ye will not hear the voice of the Lord to serve the king of Babylon, I will cause to cease out of the cities of Judah and from without Jerusalem the voice of mirth and the voice of joy and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, and the whole land shall be desolate of inhabitants.
And so that's why we're going to go back and finish reading, but that's why the Most High had Nebuchadnezzar come up back and destroy it. Because he gave us the option to serve the king of Babylon and stay in the land, and that service came in the form of tribute. And we refused, so the Most High sent him against us. Go ahead.
But
now, let me say this before you read out, before you continue. So on this side, I say this side, I mean, in this captivity, brother, we ain't supposed to be out here fighting the power. We ain't supposed to be out here complaining about racism and all of that shit, because it's not racism. It's punishment. That's all it is, it's punishment. Now, have Esau overstepped his bounds? And the scripture said he would. But he wouldn't have overstepped nothing if we hadn't did what it takes to be put in punishment. Would he? So we're not, yeah, we're supposed to teach the Bible. We're supposed to teach our people about Esau. But guess what the more valuable lesson is? Rather than to be out anywhere on cable, television, on the streets, constantly crying about the white man. Guess what the more valuable lesson is? Is that the people know why we're under him. That the people know why we were delivered into the hand of our enemies. And it was due to our rebellion, man, and due to our evil. So every time we be complaining about Esau, yeah, we're not lying, but Esau is just the effect of what? Of what was brought on by our actions, which served as the cause. Cause and effect. Go ahead, I'll continue to read.
Verse 24, but we would not hearken unto thy voice to serve the king of Babylon. Therefore hast thou made good the words that thou spakest by thy servants the prophets, namely, that the bones of our kings and the bones of our fathers should be taken out of their places.
Now let me say this up. That's what's written in Jeremiah chapter 8. From the top voice, the top verse, the Most High said they're going to take your princes and all the bones of your prophets. And more recently, and I say recently, not like in the last 10 or 20 years, but in modern times, how has that been done? How is that the Most High, how did he make good on that promise? I'm going to tell you how he made good on that promise. They call it archaeology, and you know it.
Oh, yeah.
They excavate and they find this bones, and they found this, and they find this ring that with so-called signet on it, and they find this bones and these bones there, and this casket here, and this skeleton that was wrapped in this. Back then they were just raiding our tombs. Now Esau have what? He has an international institution of thievery that they call archaeology. Then they make movies about this shit and call it Indiana Jones. All this nigga is a damn thief with a part-time job at a university. This nigga teaching history at university, and on the weekends he's out in Egypt robbing shit. Narrowly escaping with his life, right? But that's what it is, huh? Then they're going to take that shit and they put it in the British Museum. Why don't you put that in the Cairo Museum? You stole it from Egypt. They take all the world's things and put it in the Louvre in France and all these different places. Why? Because they're thieves. And this is what the Most High said would happen. Go ahead. So they took our wealth and our what? The royal bones and shit. Read that verse from the top again, Dawiyat.
Verse 24. But we would not hearken unto thy voice to serve the king of Babylon. Therefore, as thou made good the words that thou spakest by thy servants the prophets, namely, that the bones of our kings and the bones of our fathers should be taken out of their places.
So when it says fathers, it's talking about all the inhabitants, our forefathers. And that's an ancient custom. These cats, they see a kingdom so powerful and so rich. Listen, to this very day, they're still raiding tombs in Egypt. Y'all know that. And they're finding, 3,000-4,000-year-old bottles of honey still fresh and a bunch of gold and stuff. Peeling the gold teeth out of mummies and jewels and shit out of people's teeth. The bones out, or the what do you call it? The skeletons. Continue.
It says, and lo, they are cast out to the heat of the day and the frost of the night, and they die in great miseries by famine, by sword, and by pestilence.
Go ahead.
The house which is called by thy name hast thou laid waste, as it is to be seen this day, for the wickedness of the house of Israel and the house of Judah.
See that? Now let's go back. So between 2 Kings chapter 15, between 2 Kings chapter 15 and 2 Chronicles chapter 36, you have the dynamic where the Most High siphoned out all of the wealth of Israel, distributed it to the nations, and then had Israel and Jerusalem leveled. So let's go back to 2 Chronicles, and you read the last verse you read there in chapter 36 was verse 8. So I want you to pick up at verse 9.
2 Chronicles, chapter 36 and verse 9. Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon, and with goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem.
Remember, this is what had happened before in the beginning of this chapter, but the Egyptians did that. They took the sitting king, took him to Egypt to hold him prisoner and captive, and put his brother in charge. Now the Most High since had taken the Babylonians, and the Babylonians conquered Egypt. The Babylonians made an end of Assyria, and so now they're getting all the wealth and calling the shots and setting up kings and removing others. Go ahead.
Zedekiah was 120 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his power.
Now this goes back to what we read in what? In 2 Kings chapter 18, where that one king, Josiah, he was the last righteous king, right? Remember we read that. And there was no king that had been as righteous as him before him, and there wasn't anyone after him. That's why I said that when we read it, the last righteous king. So all these other kings from this point forward are just evil. And when it say evil, like you want the details are in Ezekiel chapter 16 and Ezekiel chapter 23, where we were offering our children up in sacrifices and burning them alive to Molech. We was taking Babylonian idols and putting all the clothes that the Most High blesses with, and all the gold and silver and jewels and the various wealth, material wealth, and decorating these idols, these images. Then we would take our food and oil and do offerings and burn incense before them and sacrifice and kill our kids. I want to see you be on the street corner teaching about the white man's the devil, and that's the truth. But why are you here? And it's time to start. Listen, I'm gonna say this. I don't know how many people came into the truth only and have been getting fed nothing but the fact that Esau's the devil. And the truth of the matter is, salvation for us is not contingent upon knowing that Esau's the devil. It's contingent upon us finding out why we got punished in the first place and doing everything in this life while we have time to come back to the Most High and serve his purpose, his will. His purpose, his will is that what? That we become conduits through whom he spread his knowledge to his people. That's what this is about. And all of this stuff that Israel been participating in, man, the Most High, listen, that's why Christ said that the righteous is going to scarcely be saved. Because we have this knowledge and we haven't been focusing on for what reason the Most High punished us. Because that's what we need. We need to know that we have to change. The Most High said that his arm is not short, that he can't deliver, nor his ear heavy, that he doesn't hear. He says, but your sins have separated between you and your power. That's Isaiah 59. So that's the key. Is coming back and what? And exercising that contriteness, right? And allowing ourselves to be worked on. We ain't here to just have this knowledge. I hope you guys are working on each other. I hope, Shalom, I hope you guys are using each other to exercise Christliness into you. Yes, brother.
Can you kind of briefly go over that process, about how that process works? You always refer to it as like being a doctor amongst each other.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna just tell you the truth. We come in. Listen, I'm gonna use me as an example. We're bouncing back. We're breaking down Romans chapter 11, and we in verse 12, but we were using 2 Chronicles chapter 36. Okay, that's where we are right now. 2 Chronicles chapter 36. And you're going to be picking up at verse 11 once I explain this for Dawiyat. So Dawiyat, that process that we undergo, it's designed to break us of our inclinations and idiosyncrasies that make our life revolve around our own will. So my issue when I first came into the truth was, brother, I was blown away by the knowledge. And I got to New York, and the Most High blessed me and made me one of the effective speakers out there. But my issue was I wasn't a brother, and I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to be around brothers. But that was me. I had just came out of the foster system, and I got put out of the foster system, of course, at 18. And I went, got a scholarship, went to Iowa, came back 22, 23 years old, and I was homeless. I was allowed to live in the garage of the last foster home that I had lived in because they knew me, right? And of course, I hit them up with some dollars during the month. I had a decent job. And so that was what my life was then. It just revolved around me, my dynamic, me wanting to do me and be left alone. And when I said be left alone, of course, I rolled with cats. I had partners that I met at the gym. I didn't roll with nobody. I had cats that I met at the gym. Even Zion, who I came into the truth with, I met him at the gym that I used to work out at. And so I came up into this zone, and I'll never forget when I got to New York, those brothers had to teach me brotherhood. Those brothers had to teach me what servitude was. The Most High used them. So I had to stop trying to do these little runs and getaways. The Most High was mad at me. And listen, I've been on my deathbed in Israel like 3 times already. From that back then up until now. 3 times, kissed death, brother. And the most, you know what? That's how the Most High deal with me. When number 1, he's preparing me to have to give more, or number 2, to chastise me for not having given enough. And so we're here, we come to this, and the Most High be wanting us to come out of ourselves. And so guess what happens? We find out that we're really fearful, we're afraid, we be finding out that we're weak, we have no self-control, we have no self-discipline, right? We're obstinate, we want to do things our way, and our way up until the time that we got into the truth is the thing that got us into most of the problems in the first place, but we still don't want to abandon our thinking. So the Most High uses all the men that's coming to him. He's not going to use worthless niggas in the world. He's going to use other men that share your passion. When I say your passion, your desire to be saved, your desire to be better. He's going to use all of these imperfect people to what? To take something perfect and exercise it on each other. We're all completely flawed, but the Bible and the wisdom of the Most High is flawless. And so what it all comes down to is, then he have men set up that are our seniors that have been here before us. And so they're what? Yeah, we can come in and see their imperfections. Why? Because that's where we come from. We come from the land of pointing out everybody's fucking faults. So that's what we recognize. But you got to come in and get worked on so that you can see, whoa, so that the Most High can, you're one of those dudes with the faults as well. But the Most High gives us the motive and the platform to exercise Christ into us. Then we start seeing the virtues in one another. And if we stay here long enough and really give ourselves over to this process of change, this process of transformation, then we actually see that through time, the flaws diminish, and they don't diminish. It's just that we see the brothers grow strong enough and grow wise enough through the work to manage their flaws. And because they're exercising and have been equipped through the scriptures to more effectively manage their flaws, all of a sudden our virtues are freed up to come out and blossom. And I had to find this shit out the hard way. Through rebellion, and through being damn near killed a couple of times. And so the Most High, this is what this is about. This is about coming to this knowledge. This is the fuck the white man. This ain't even about him. I need to know that. We just need to know the reason why he's important is because he's the devil. And the Most High is going to make a fool of him. And just like you need to be able to have the knowledge and the scriptures that help us to see that who we are, then you also need to have the knowledge to help you see who he is. But why do you think it's so difficult and challenging to find out and prove who Moab is, who Ammon is? I mean, we teach it because we've been taught that, but where's all the proof? You know why they there? Because it ain't fucking about them, it's about us. That's why. That's why you can't find who the fuck and prove that the Canaanites are the South Africans unless you start going in the books outside the Bible. Now you run the risk of getting fucked up in the head with spirits. You know that. Why? Because the Most High limited the knowledge to us and what we need to make us better, to help us make the change, to help us be saved. Think about, fuck the Africans. Fuck the whole fucking world. This is fuck Esau. This is about Israel coming back to the Most High and being equipped to do that which causes him to find favor in you and bless you and preserve you, especially like times like now. So, brother, this has been the greatest experience ever. Ups, downs, I wouldn't change this. The only thing I would change if I had the power is I'd have came in sooner.
Right.
Fucking sooner, 8 motherfucking team, right after I got out the foster system. Israel should have raised me. Israel should have been my foster parents. but that wasn't the will of the Most High. Remember, he was teaching me stuff then too. The scripture said wisdom will walk with you through crooked places. So he was bringing fear upon me so that by the time I would hear this word, I would run to it. And everybody that come into these doors, like what you do when you don't give yourself over to it, number one, you're just slowly and playing hard to get with the Most High. Motherfucker, he ain't no college nigga chasing some ass. Brother be trying to play hard to get with the Most High. When I say hard to get with the Most High, like a little sophomore teenage bitch, that means you're here now, but are you giving yourself over to it? Are you opening up among men? Are you burying your nakedness out so that the brothers who got more time and then passed through the same process can clothe you, can help you dress yourself in the spirit of the Most High? Because to do otherwise makes you a fucking ingrate. And you guys know this. You guys know that we know this in just the world. Somebody take you in their home, feed you, house you, right? Look out for you. They can't, and they be trying to come in and treat you. I'm talking about from where I was, trying to entreat you, and you still want to stay closed off? You a fucking ingrate. You gonna eat their food, you gonna sleep under their roof, and you want to hide yourself? That's a freeloader. That's a moocher. Y'all know that. People that don't contribute to the process that's underway, but benefit from it, that's a moocher. So this is about, and listen, and it was hard. And I had many days and many nights where I had to see myself and cry bitterly out because I hated myself before I came into the truth. I was ashamed of my coming, of what and who I was because of my civil circumstance. I'm not gonna lie, I lived my whole life in shame up until the day I found out, oh, you were being punished. That yoke was taken off of me immediately. But everything else, I had to relinquish it. I had to communicate. I had to give it up. And guess what I found out? Relinquishing it and giving it up and opening it up, even on people on the internet, that's what drew people to me. It was like, damn, this brother be teaching like that, and he was a foster kid. For real, I saw certain people, damn, man, all I can tell you is if you open up, you got to take this knowledge and open up so you can be healed, because you're being made to be someone else's doctor. You're walking through the shoes of many people that's coming behind you, and you're going to be their inspiration. Yeah, Christ is going to be the inspiration, but you're going to be that tangible one in their life that shows them that they could do it. Because when we see Christ and Paul and the apostles, those images sometimes are beyond our capacity to say, well, he's like me, because they were so great. But they really wasn't. It's just been so long ago that we really can't remember that they was just fishers. They were just brothers that fished for a living. Hell, right now, a nigga won't want to be a fisher. That's something you do in your recreation. That job right now is kind of held in disdain, almost like a shepherd. But that's all they were. They were fishers. And one nigga worked for the government. Matthew was a tax collector. He was a publican. That's them niggas today working for the IRS with them government jobs, as they like to say. Now look what happened with the government job. The government, everybody's being forced to take that shit. So this is who these men were. And the Most High used them to change the world. And here we are. He has us as the last leg of this marathon, of this relay, taking the baton from them. And how are we gonna not? Christ already showed us the importance of transparency when he took his robes and took them off and washed his apostles' feet. Brother, do you know what his apostles must have saw? Because the scriptures tell you that he was completely marred. His body was marred, his face was marred. He was completely disfigured. The Most High sent Christ in that package for a reason. To teach us how to open up and serve and expose yourself and let transparency be your greatest gift, because that's what brings people to the Most High through you. That's what it is. And he's inside you, waiting beaten through your pride and beaten through your fear, beaten through the cages and the bars of your fucking fear of being seen and known and exposed. The person that's going to be used as someone else's hero. You can't be all selfish and be all into you. That's why you got called here. To be what? To be used as a tool, an agent of rescue that somebody like you can identify with and say, shit, I could do this. Because sometimes Christ and the apostles and all of those cats, they do appear a bit psychologically out of our reach. And that's why people be saying, but I mean today, man, I mean realistic, because it don't seem real. But remember, back then, women and children was going to the lions because they believed in Christ. We're not them. So the Most High got us here to what? To serve as something tangible and visual, an example that people in the world can say, man, them dudes is bad. They talk to you, you talk to them. How you gonna not talk to people and you in the truth and now you got an opportunity to just show what you've been through, all the hurt, all the pain, but look at you here. I just one sister, man, that knew me, a sister from Connecticut, right? Puerto Rican sister. And she was blown away. I met her in the store. I met her this is before I met you, or Rashman Amiyetiza. And her name was Alina Gonzalez. And I met her because she was out, I was closed that day, and she was out in front of the store, like perplexed, big old eyes, looking like she was literally tears welled up to cry. And I said, sister, are you all right? What's going on? She said, I'm lost. You know, when you get that tea where everything looking like when you first get there,
Exactly.
that was her first day. I said, where are you trying to go? She gave me the piece of paper, and I said, this is 2nd Avenue. First, I gave her the instructions, and she was like, I ain't gonna make it there. And I said, listen, I was cleaning up the store. I closed the door. I said, listen, I'm gonna walk you on over there. And I just got to know her walking through the park. And let me say this, she would come every year, every 2 years. She was a teacher and a social worker, and she would bring people out just to meet me for that, to be that real life story of inspiration for troubled kids that she was working with out. Literally, man, that shit touches people when you open up. And the most important thing is it touches the men among you. That's what you're here for. You're here to be opened up and healed. But you have to open up. You got the key to them bars. The Most High has already given you the master key. If this can't make you open up, nothing is. And this is not able to. Let me break this. This is not weak. If you don't open up to this, that's you. And I can tell you what it is. It's your fear. That's all it is. It's your fear of being hurt. Your fear of being seen for what you really are or what you're really not. But that's how you get help. And then you be the ones with the most powerful testimony for people that helps them to cross that threshold from their fear. That's what this is about, since you asked, Dawiyah. That's what it's about, huh? It's about coming in and bearing your fucking soul and being naked in front of everybody, huh? Yeah, brother.
Brother, it took me for me to come over here in this program, for me to become updated version of who I am today. And I'm grateful for all of the visions and the things that the Most High had to put me through in order to now I put this mirror in front of me. Now the Most High showed me who I truly am, what are my flaws and what are my advantages. And it took up to now for me to be vulnerable and to realize all of these flaws and issues that I had, to bring it to my brothers, and the brothers use scriptures to through the inspiration of the Most High to better help myself and my situation. And I'm grateful for every day for that.
And I'm looking at you, and you look different from the first time I saw you with that brother from the old school. What's the brother's name that you came in with, that you visited with and decided to stay?
His name was Trenton, but his Hebrew name was Yaashaya.
Right. Yeah. I told Yashaya, I remember him back from the old days in the early 90s, mid 90s. But you, brother, huh?
You talking about Aish?
No, not Aish. I'm talking about the other brother who was a boxer, right?
Come
Now,
on.
who did you came up with a dark-skinned brother?
Zakar?
Is that his name?
Yeah, Lax.
No, no, not him. There were three brothers that were new that I saw when I met you. One of them was an older brother. I think he might have been in his 40s.
You must be talking about Aish because I came with Aish.
I'm not talking about Aish. Aish is unforgettable. I ain't gonna talk. This brother, he was in Albuquerque, and I said, brother, I know you from somewhere. He said, man, I was in Albuquerque way back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, you came to class with him, and there was another third brother, and you look completely different. I mean, do you remember me yesterday the first time he sat in class?
No, I don't remember.
That's because you was in class reading. See, that's proof. He don't even remember. You don't look at the same person. But I say that to say
I thought you knew. I literally.
no, this is the brother that came that knew. You remember those three brothers that visited and one of them decided to stay?
The boxer. I remember the boxer.
Okay.
And the other two.
Okay, this is him. This is the one that decided to stay.
That's funny because you know what? I was literally, I zoomed in. I was like, who's this light skinned dude? I was like, oh, they got a new guy.
He been here for a minute now. Huh?
That's funny. I thought he was new.
So I'm trying to show you. Listen, brother. I'm saying that to say you are making that transformation. But that's what this is about. This is about making the transformation. And I'm gonna say this. I was my own biggest, brother.
Cobb, what are your thoughts and your opinions on it? And I hear what you're saying, but what are your thoughts and opinions of brothers that have been in it for years? And I mean years, but are still toxic. And not just toxic, but people that get caught in their gravitational well are toxic to people around them. And these are people that have been in it for years, but the truth still hasn't seemed to seep through to them.
Well, let me say this. You just go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me let you finish. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
Well, I don't have any opinions as much as the scriptures are, but we'll go through that. And let me say this. It's a battle. It's what I just got to listen. I would have been one of those brothers had I not let the word penetrate me, man. You could listen. That's why the scriptures say there'll be many that's in the day that say, Lord, Lord, we did your will. We cast out demons in your name, right? And he's going to say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I know you not. That's talking about the people that, hold up. That's talking about the people that's in this truth that haven't allowed what? And haven't gone through the motions of teaching people and having contributed to the growth of someone else. But listen, there's a scripture that says there's one that is profitable to others, but is unprofitable to himself. But all it comes down to, now I'm gonna say this. My true reaction is, for me, am I contributing to helping that brother make his change? Let's say he's been in for 10 years and I get in. Listen, you're not speaking hypothetical because I went through that. When I got to the truth, there were cats that had been there 5, 7, 8 years, and these cats, brother, they hadn't changed. But guess what happened, You want to know something? Guess what was I'm going to tell you a true story. Guess what was the biggest motive? What I did. In other words, I got there on June 23rd, on a Thursday in 1991. And in a month's time, I had taken, back then, before you could speak, when I say speak, meaning street speak, before you was allowed to use the microphone, you had to have taken at least your soldier's test. So I was there for 4 weeks and I took my soldier's and officer's test. And I went from being a novice off the street. Now, don't get me wrong. I had been in the truth for 2 years, 2.5, 3 years before. I in the truth for about 2 years. Then I met Ariana and stayed there and stayed with him for about a year and a half. Then I left him in California and came to New York. So a month in, I took my 2 tests, and guess what happened? I didn't know, and I didn't do it for that reason. I just wanted to be able to teach. But all of a sudden, I was an officer of 100, and guys that had been there for 2, 5, and 7 years, brother, they was automatically under me. And back then, that was the motive. People wanted to be over people. I didn't want to be over no damn body. That was part of why I kept getting in trouble, because I kept getting responsibilities that required that I keep men on point and chastise and correct, and I wasn't into that. But I wanted to get on that microphone and teach. And so guess what happened? That example, literally, everybody else in the camp under me that hadn't taken the test, they went out within the next 3 months and took the test. That's just what happened. So much of the time, I'm telling you, you're going to find out. You're not hear about the guys that's been here because when I got there, it was, let me see this out, and it still is today. There's guys that's been in for more than me and are toxic. So much so that what do you think somebody calling themselves the commanding general is? What do you think someone allowing their students to say that this person could be, this person is definitely Elijah in the reincarnation? That's the shit that was taking place when I was coming up. That's toxic. That's a lie. But I didn't get there for them. But guess what happened? I got there, and even those cats that had been there 30 and 40 years, the Most High used my works to motivate even them. They gave 3 of the elders within that period of time all gave me their classes. They came in one day, one elder was late. Monday, Lahab, Yaquab was sitting there by the post, almost like Dawiyad is sitting by that post. That's how he'd always sit. And he looked at the clock, and class is supposed to start at 7. It's 7:10. He goes, who's the ranking man in here? Oh, like I said, I just took the test a couple of months ago. They looked at me and he is, brother, going up and start class. And I said, Yaquab, do you mind if we give Lahab a few more minutes? Because I was used to teaching on the street, but I wasn't used to doing that. But Lahab got there 20 minutes later. I went up and talked. And when he got there, it was 7:35. He opens the door. He looks at the podium. He does like that, and he never looked back. He just went and told a couple of the elders. And then I had him. That was Monday. Then I had Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night class. And they got freed up to go do other things and build up. Before you know, all the other brothers wanted to come and get down and learn how to teach and take. So let me say this out. We've been toxic since the time of Adam. But the scriptures say, to the pure, all things are pure. The greater question is, where's your mind at? That's what the Most High is going to ask you. The Most High, he already got them toxic dudes. He got them. Their judgment is sealed. But since you have the presence of mind to see the toxicity, why don't you be part of the cleaning agent? Because that's what you're here for. That's what the Most High showed me. And listen, and many people got inspired. And that's what I was trying to show you. These are the cats that wanted to come under me. Then my toxicity came out. I want to be bothered. I need time to myself. I was just as fucking toxic. But in the meantime, I had my virtues also. And so it was a process that I had to undergo. And Israel, remember, we're the experts of coming out and seeing everybody's flaws. And it's like we're born with toxicity Geiger counters. We can feel it on everybody. But remember, it's in us. We're toxic. We're in this fucking pool as well. Go ahead, Ak. I see you want to say something.
Yeah, I'm reminded of something you told me before I came, if I may.
Yeah, brother, please do.
Telling me.
Move over a little bit to your right. To your right. No, you're still off the screen. Yeah, thank you. There you go.
I'm reminded of something that you told me before I came. You were like, just as there are niggas in Brockton, there are niggas in Israel.
You're right.
Only on 2 occasions in the 41 years I've walked this planet have I ever met a toxic person. And this is the second time. And my question is, and it's got me thinking, I'm like, so I gotta what? I gotta be the emotional tampon to this emotional defective cocksucker?
Let me say this, yes, because somebody's being there for you. Somebody's being there for you.
Please He's been in it for years, and it don't seem to
It
be.
doesn't matter, right? Let me say this. I'm gonna show you something. That's good that you say that. Go to Job chapter 32 and read verses, start off at verse 7. And like you referring to him as a cocksucker is your level of toxicity. Does he actually suck dick? No, you listen, you know he don't. That's just that's just your way. Let me say this. His toxicity is mirroring yours, and it's attracting you. I'm gonna prove that to you after this one. These verses, Daria, I'm gonna to read this for me. Read it, okay? Job chapter 32. I want you to start off at verse 7.
Job chapter 32 and verse 7. I said they should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom.
Stop right there. Days should speak, and multitudes of years should teach wisdom. That's what one would think. So you're right with what you're using to measure. Go ahead.
Verse 8. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding.
But there is a spirit in man. The Most High ain't going by the years, huh? He's going by the spirit inside the man. And as you describe toxic, but let me say this, are you going to be different or are you going to be the same? Because the Most High tell us, he put us here. He said, I set before ye this day life and death. Choose ye what you will. Hold on. Because every time someone has an issue, what the Christ came and said, listen, this is what Christ said to do. That's why I said I can't give you my opinion. I can just make references to what the scriptures say. He said, never mind the mote that is in your brother's eye. What about the beam in yours? And guaranteed you have them, because that's why he brought you here, to help you remove your mote. If this brother's not taking opportunity and being sincere and all the time, it's not about time anyway. That's why we just read that. It's about how are you inspired? What, you got here and you're shocked that you ran into some niggas? Brother, that's who the Most High is calling. Hold on, I'm gonna finish reading that. I'm gonna show them that. Go to 1 Corinthians after that. I'll tell you what verse. It'll probably be verse 22, chapter 1 and verse 22. Read verse 8 again.
Job chapter 32 and verse 8.
Your mic is very low. Maybe it's just me. Hold on, let me turn my volume up. Go ahead.
Job chapter 32 and verse 8. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. So
now where is your spirit at? Because if your spirit is right, then the Most High, you're going to end up understanding that, brother. This ain't about finger pointing. This is about self-improvement through the Spirit of Christ. This is exactly what we're all being brought from. And what happens is some of us are making that, let's say some of us are accelerating at a pace a little bit more advanced, and others are accelerating at a pace not as advanced in the transformation process. But what the Most High want is for you to contribute to the fight to help him improve himself. Everybody else in the world is already have taken the position that you've taken, but you've been brought here to be taught and have injected in you the position of Christ. And so the brother, while he's here, if it's 20 of them and they all fucked up, guess what? They still in the right place. That's a fight alone. We all don't know what demons we've been in. How about you make yourself naked and try to get to know him? In other words, fight and learn to transform yourself so you can be the medicine. That's what you was brought here for, to do what he can. And then to be the inspiration to help him say, damn, this dude came in just like, because that's what them brothers said. That's what they said about me and other brothers. This dude just got in and he's already said something. Damn, he's got and I tried to get that Tuesday night class that the elder wouldn't give it to me. Well, he got Kazak's class on Wednesday too. Cobb, why are you teaching on the street from Thursday to Sunday? Those were my street speaking days with the camp. Flatbush in church on Thursdays, Friday on 42nd Street and 8th Avenue, Saturday on Fulton and Nostrand in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and then Sunday again on 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was teaching class from 7 to 10 officially, but until 11 because the people was loving the teaching. And people said, damn, Coward Cobb, you know, what got into you? And I told them, I'm afraid of not making it. And I saw all this around me. Oh, listen, there's no place where it was thick as New York. I don't care what nobody said. But I didn't come there for that. I got brought there to get my opportunity to be used as a positive agent of change. The Most High gonna give us negative examples because we need to know what not to be just as much as we need to know what to be. You got King Saul, then you got King David. Then you got King Solomon, then you got King Rehoboam. I mean, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Which one are you gonna be? That's the reality of it. And so, yes, we're toxic. But remember, we just, okay, I'm gonna get this finish that last verse, verse 9.
Verse 9. Great men are not always wise. Neither do the aged understand judgment.
In other words, it's just the time given to a man is not what apports him his ability to judge. It's the spirit in him, because he can cover in 1 week what a person had 10 years that's been refusing to do. Because all it takes is 1 day. It takes the day that you decide, you know what, I'm gonna be the positive, because niggas like this, my people need better. Are you that man? That's the question. And I'm gonna say this. Go to 1 Corinthians. I want you to find the verse. It might be in verse 1. It might not. It says it's in chapter 10. It says, "You see your calling. Not many wise men according to the flesh." When you get that chapter, give it to me.
Okay.
1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26.
Say that again.
Yeah.
1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26.
Okay, I mean, yeah, so you got that. Go ahead and start off there. Now, this is who the Most High have determined that he's calling. And it's just a whole bunch of words that simply mean toxic. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 26. For you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called.
Now listen to this. So when it says wise men after the flesh, that's talking about the people that are known for being highly educated, respected intellectuals, the most likely to get shit done. The Most High said they're not called. Neither are the mighty. Fucking Mike Tyson types and known for their physical prowess. He don't call them. And noble, people that come from those noble family backgrounds. Oh man, that's Bill Cosby grandson. That's Martin Luther King great grandson. He don't call them. Now listen to who he do call, and you're sitting in this class, so you're one of them. Go ahead.
Verse 27. But the Most High have chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise.
We call that toxic.
Amen.
Hold on. It's foolish. So foolish that you refer to him as a cocksucker. So foolish that I refer to him as motherfuckers. Right? They're that foolish. But guess what I was when I came here? A motherfucking asshole. That's what I was. And I'm still that if I retain that attitude. But I wanted to be more. Once I saw them brothers teaching, I saw the effect and the power that the Most High give you to be the conduit through whom he called his sons and his daughters back to him. Brother, this is who he say he called it. Read on down, Amayetazar.
And the Most High have chosen the weak things of the world to confound
That's why I said
the
weak.
things.
That's what hold on. He have chosen what?
The Most High have chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty.
Right, and so we're all weak. That's the reality. And our weakness manifests in many ways. And it's the weakness in us that won't let us open up. That's what it was for me. It was about being ashamed. It was about being ashamed. But hey, brother, what tribe you from? Well, I've been told that my daddy is a Gadite because I never met him. If he came to class and was a visitor, he'd have to look just like my ass for me to know it was him. I laid eyes on, I don't recall laying eyes on my mother. I remember in a foster home, someone introduced to me as a grandmother came and she didn't love me enough to take responsibility for me. Grandmamas always love their grandkids. Let's be real. How many people know people that have been raised by their grandparents? So this is the shame that I live with, and that I got a bunch of brothers and sisters who we all got different last names. So she wasn't only a heroin addict, she clearly was playing musical dick throughout her life. My mother was toxic. You see that? That's what we're all toxic. We all got something that we want nobody to know about. But that's how I defeated the shit. And in the process of using Christ to defeat it through openness, right, through transparency, guess what happened? Other people started calling from the blog talk Amaliyatazar, and bearing their heart out. And they're still with us to this very day in Kentucky and other states. So the Most High allowed me to be allowed me to be the practitioner, right? The administrator of the medicine that Christ is. And he did it all in spite of the fact that I was toxic. He did it because I was toxic, because that's how the Most High is glorified. He's glorified by the ones that are least likely to be used. That's why he said he don't use the wise. He don't use the mighty, and he don't use the noble. Because why? Because if he did it through them, the people would recognize it as those people's own achievements. They're the ones that people can see getting it done. Those are the alpha males. Those are the guys that go out and make shit happen. The Most High used the ones that make nothing happen. The Most High that used the ones that everything keep happening to fuck too. His shit. But that's what this is about. Yeah, this is about you coming in and saying, damn, this is some toxic shit. So I'm gonna contribute to what? I'm gonna contribute to cleansing it. I'm gonna contribute to making it holistic. That's why he brought you here. And you ain't gonna have an effect on everybody, but the one that you do have an effect on, oh, what an effect it's gonna be. But you have to be here for you to change and not see everybody else. Fuck everybody else when it comes to toxicity. What about your toxicity? And you're toxic. You have to look in the mirror and say, shit, I'm no better than this dude. Christ told us that about the man that went into the temple and prayed and said, I'm so thankful, Lord, that you didn't make me like the sinners and the publicans and the heathens. I pray such and such so many times a day. I give my tithes. Amen. And he said another guy came in and was just so ashamed and so humble. All he could do was smite his chest. And then Christ asked, which one do you think is justified before the Most High? That person that know he's a sinner and want to change and is trying to find a way to do it. Not the one that's coming in recognizing everyone else's toxicity. If you want to be rejected, that's the fast track to doing it. You didn't get here. You didn't come here to work on them. You came here to work on you so the Most High could work through you on somebody else. And it's going to happen. That's why you're here. And that's why the Lord said, many are called, but few are chosen. Because who can get through the phase of being called? And I'm telling you this from my own experience, man. I'm so ashamed. There was one night after a big old speaking, we had this other camp. I called it our brother camp. All the camps was brothers, but this other camp was the other camp in Brooklyn. There was only two camps in Brooklyn, the Mount Zion and the Sons of Thunder. So after Saturday night, Sunday, brothers would come out. It'd be 2 o'clock in the morning because everybody was teaching till 10, then they had to go to their places and handle the business of the night, have councils. Then they go to the liquor stores and come over to the Mount Zion because we was the only camp that had their own house. There'd be 40 brothers from that camp, 40 brothers from our camp. Hey, that brother Kyle Crowd, is he here, man? I'm up in my fucking bed like, in my mind, it's fucking shit. It's mad, like, because I got through speaking for 6 hours and I want to be ready for tomorrow. But it wasn't about that. It was about these brothers wanted to see you, man. They heard about you. They went and saw me at the campsite and invited me to their camp. Listen, what days do you have off? I said, man, I'm working. I'm every day now. I teach on Wednesdays at the school. He said, well, listen, the school don't open up. This was Yashuan. The school don't open. You ain't got to be at the school to open until 6:30. Yaquab going to open the doors at 7 o'clock on the dot. He said, so you can come by. They taught down the street from us on Wednesdays at Fulton and Hoyt in downtown Brooklyn. We was in Bed-Stuy. So they wanted me out there teaching, man. And I was a fucking nigga. I was the toxic one. And I had talents. The Most High brought me to their attention through what I was doing. But the fact that he was working for me for teaching, That was just my obvious talent. But in the same time, my obvious toxicity was right there also being laid out. I didn't want to deal with them. Now some fucked up shit. Now it's me. And that's why I say everybody in that room, we all got our own toxicity. And that's what this verse is telling us. The Most High have chosen the foolish things to confound the wise. He's chosen the weak to, I'm coming to you, Dawiyah, to confound the mighty. He's coming, he have chosen, I'm yet to finish it up. Call the verse out.
First Corinthians, First Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 27.
Uh-huh.
But the Most High have chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And the Most High have chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty.
Go ahead.
And
that it?
base things of
Right,
No,
base,
verse
no
28.
degree. Go ahead.
and base things of the world and things which are despised have the Most High chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are.
So what you have to do is say, I'm sitting in this classroom. So I'm weak, I'm foolish, I'm base. And the Most High is going to be glorified in the transformation that I undergo. And he's going to show me that he was glorified by having people drawn to me. That's your mission. Should you so decide to choose? And tell you like motherfucking 007 and shit. Should you so, or is that Ethan from whatever it is, what's it, what Mission Impossible, right? Should you so decide to choose? And let me say this about this. This message, if you decide not to choose, will never self-destruct. You will. That's the reality of it. That's the difference in this mission. And this is mission possible, because all things are possible through the Most High. But it's your perspective. You have to say, okay, the scriptures say to the pure, all things are pure. Man, I can't tell you the shit I was surrounded by, but it didn't matter. That word and that teaching, that effect, to see the lights come on in somebody's eyes. I've had brothers come on, literally, I'm out there teaching, man, and cats start, street niggas out there selling crack, start crying. You see them drop their little vials, put their cigarette down, come and say, brother, I want to study, man, but I don't know how to read. I said, brother, I will teach you how to read. And the brother never came through. Cold ass cats out there on the corner. Of back in the day, they had this calling card thing where all the cats used to sell calling cards and they charge money to let you come and make an international call. You know, back in the, that was the hustle of the 90s and shit. They'd be out there doing that, and then the other ones would be selling crack. And they would be out there bawling and crying in tears, like, and they come and say, man, I want to learn, brother, but I don't know how to read, man. I said, brother, I got certain such hours in this day, I will meet you here and I'll teach you how to read. And I wasn't bullshitting. And they wouldn't come and learn how to read. It's always going to be the person. So that sounded sincere to me. But guess what happened? They wouldn't come to learn how to read. It's always the person. He still had to come. It's always the person. It's always the deficient one. You're responsible to be the cleanser. Israel going to always be toxic. We're going to be toxic in the fucking wilderness. The scriptures say that. That's why the Most High said he's going to purge out the rebels. That means if Christ love us and the Most High enough to say, okay, perfection, salvation is not contingent upon perfection. How do we know that? Because we're going to get to the wilderness and still have need to be purged. But we would have done enough on this side to convince the Most High, okay, let's give him a shot. Let's save him. Let's save him from the fire judgment. Let's see if he make it through the wilderness. That's what you're here for. You're here to show the Most High, number one, you want to make it out of here. And what you do here determines, are you well equipped enough to get through the wilderness? And this is what brothers don't get. We're here to service each other's sicknesses out, and we're all fucked up in the head and sick. The brother was going to make a point. Dawiyah, you had your hand raised.
I want to ask, because you have made a point, it was strong. I want to know, is it like Titus 3:3 and then verse 2?
Well, would you read it, please? But I'm not, I'm getting old out.
I know.
No, I'm just saying. Listen, if you want me to call out the verse like that, you have to say something easy like Deuteronomy or Obadiah, right? But
I hate when you do that to me. So
hey, listen, call it out again. again, Yetzer, get the scripture that he called out and read it.
Yeah. Titus 3 and verse. It just kind of seemed like it was on your top.
Go ahead. You got it, Yetzer?
Titus, yeah. Titus chapter 3 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another.
Brother, that's cold, because all of that shit is toxic. And the fact that we got brought to the school is because we're toxic. Christ done already said it. I didn't come, we're going to get that verse. I didn't come to heal. He said, they that are not, how do you go? They that are not sick need not a physician. I am come to heal the sick. If you're here, it's because you're sick, and you're sick in the head. It's like the niggas, all of us are all insane in the membrane and shit. That's us, we're all fucked up in the head. We got issues like you got men that's been here for years that taught people and have moved people and are still hateful as hell. Hateful to their own families, hateful to their own wives, neglectful and absent to their own children. And then they try to use the word to justify their absence. But no, guess what it is? You got cats that's coming through here that's still what? They are afraid to assume responsibility. You got a lot of brothers that's gonna come among you. That toxicity that you call is probably due to being raised by an angry black bitch, an angry Hispanic, Mexican, Puerto Rican motherfucker. That's the real. That's the sickness. The sickness came from somewhere, so the medicine is coming from somewhere also. That's the reality. That's all of us. That's you. That's me. The only thing that empower me and give me what the Most High called a victory is because I admit it and I accept it. And I say, okay, you don't want to heal yourself? Shit, I'm not playing that game. I'm gonna come in and heal me. And one of the things that I had to do, I found out the key was just like the doctor. Who goes to the doctor and tries to make the doctor guess what the fuck is wrong with him? The doctor be like, well, what the fuck? He be like, guess. Well, motherfucker, what did you come for? The doctors start running tests and shit, right? First they do the reflex test and your knees and your reflexes is fine. They run some blood work. Nothing wrong with the blood. They do some urine and feces sample. Then they be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know why? Because the doctor's perplexed because you could at least tell him what's going on inside you. He might say, oh, well, listen, brother, I have a psychiatrist or such and such that I can help you too. It turns out the reason your blood test came out perfect and the reason your feces and urine came out perfect and the reason because your reflexes and all those things and motor skills came out perfect is because your problems are not physical. Your problems are psychological. And that's how it is with all of us. Our problems are psychological, but we say spiritual because what Esau called the psyche, the mind, that's actually the spirit. The Bible calls it the heart. Those are the problems that we really have. And you have to open them. You have to go to the doctor and say, man, I've been feeling like this. I've been feeling like that. And he goes and checks his reference books and said, you know what, and if you go to a real doctor, he's going to do an iridology test and say, man, this thing right, he's going to bring his iridology chart and show you. He said, this thing right here is called the autonomic nerve wreath. Whenever it's fuzzy and hazy, like a little bitty film around the iris, that means your nervous system is overstretched. So let me first of all get you some valerian root, some chamomile tea, some geranium. You're going to take a little bit every time you go to bed. And now you got to exercise, brother. What happens is your body is and your mind is under duress and you need to release some stress. I'm telling you what happened to me. Now that's outside the scriptures. Simple and plain, huh? Oh shit, you know what? We done did all the tests on your back. You don't have no bad spine. Your body is so fucking tense that you need certain exercises to help your body release tension. What type of activities do you do? Did you start all of a sudden? I had all type of shit when I came into the truth. I had a fucked up heart, because I was playing football and I was on a professional level. I didn't play professionally, but I was in professional health. Outworked anybody. I mean, yes, I can tell you, I did that shit up until I was 45. Outworked anybody. But when I came into the truth, I went to study and I stopped exercising cold turkey. And my heart, it got weak. I had to wean myself down in levels of intensity. So he showed me that reflex muscle. Okay, now you got to take some horsetail root, man. It's gonna help you re-strengthen your muscle. You got to take this concoction so that you can help the circulation, because my hands and my feet was always blue. Tell you, brother, but I had to tell them. So they looked and they saw your spine is fine, but man, your body is tense as hell and it's bearing down on these nerves. You got a pinched nerve. Your sciatic is off. It's not your spine. That's your sciatic nerve. There's a hip muscle there. I forgot what it's called. It starts with a P. Award knows it well because he be suffering the same thing. That shit gets so tight, it bears down on your side and it messes up your back. So now while I'm going through that, I had to open up and tell the doctor what was happening so he could say, okay, let's run these tests. You got to do it. You're in the hospital. And yes, at times it's a fucking psychiatric ward. You ever been to New York with Bellevue? At times, this place could be like Bellevue or any other psychiatric hospital. But that's what we're here for. We're all crazy, man. And the scriptures tell us that. But it does say crazy. It just doesn't say it in the term that we know. It says madness. The Lord shall smite thee with madness. We're fucking crazy. And welcome home, crazy nigga. That's my thing to you, but you got to come in and mix it up with the crazy folks, huh? It's like the nigga, you ever see the A-Team?
Yeah.
That crazy motherfucker, the pilot, but he's actually a genius, right? He know everything about airplanes. He can do any damn thing. He just happened to be crazy also. Murdoch, I don't know if that's his name or not. Hannibal, B.A. Baracus and Murdoch and Face, the guy that's always getting the bitches. The point is, we're all Murdoch. There's a genius Yahweh Shai inside you waiting to be watered so that it could contribute to the healing of some of these psychopaths around you. That's the reality, y'all. And you can take the position and stay sick yourself and create and add to the toxicity, or you can pick up a mop, grab a bucket, get you some motherfucking Lysol, and start and pick you a spot on the floor and start cleaning. Now that's up to you. I got my mop out. I got toilet duty for the rest of my fucking life. That's what I got. Toilet duty. I'm shoveling shit. And like Maxwell Smart said, and loving it. Because that's how much I love Christ. And he taught me how to love my brothers. And the ones that are the most toxic are the ones that I'm the most drawn to. Because that's who Christ was most drawn to, the sickos. That's the reality. You're not seeing a mirage, Jacques. You're seeing what you're seeing. You're experiencing what you're experiencing. But you got brought here because there's somebody here that you're going to be the administrator of their medicine. If you would just let those that are there to administer to you give you yours. That's what you're there for. You didn't come here because this shit is clean. We just read that. Doesn't matter how many years. What spirit is in you? And how long is it going to take for you to show what spirit is in you? Remember, Job chapter 32 and verse 7. I said days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom, but it don't always do that. The Lord said, but there's a spirit in the man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Are you inspired by the Most High? Then go on and come and help. And let these brothers help you be that medicine. Because when I talked to you, when you was back home in Brockton, brother, you got that element in you. And just like myself and many other people, there's a level of fear because there always is. The brother that came up to New York with me, he was the same way. He didn't even really want to go to New York. He came because he was afraid because he didn't want to be in California alone. And he wasn't alone. we were leaving behind a congregation of 35 people. But he didn't want to be alone in the responsibility over there. So he was going to peg me. And then he got pissed off because the Most High had me growing and he wasn't. You know why? Because I finally decided to relinquish my toxicity. And so that's how it is. This is the work. Like I said, if you should so happen to choose, this message will not self-destruct. But if you don't choose, you will self-destruct. That's what we were already doing. We were already self-destructing. Were we not?
Uh-huh.
Who among us wasn't fucking self-destructing? So we had to do this because this is mission possible. It's only mission impossible if we're not here. We can't do this without Christ. Just like it said in John 15, without me, you can do nothing. You got to come back to the Most High. You're here, but you got to come back to him. You're at the school, but have you come back to the Most High yet? And you're going to see the Most High tell you this process. It says it is, how does it go on? Yet it's on Ecclesiastes chapter 6. It is unpleasant to the unlearned. The only reason why it's like that, why it's so unpleasant, is because you don't know enough about it yet. But the more you know about it and you see shit, this is where it's supposed to be. This is the place where we come to get cleaned up and be turned into doctors. That's all, man. That's the truth. Calling Dr. Adam, shit. That's the truth, Doc. That's what it all is, Doc. And there's no higher calling. That's what Christ was mad at the Pharisees about. They was all seeing all the people's flaws, had their own flaws, but whenever they put their hands to somebody, Christ said, you make them twofold more times the child of hell than yourself is. Is that the effect that you're gonna have? Or is somebody gonna come into contact with you and all of a sudden want to just be around you and play you close because you make them feel better in this work? That's what this is about. This is about the power that the Most High have reserved for you, because Christ and the Most High is trying to come and inhabit you. And you're never going to be the same, man. You're never going to be the same once you let him in. Yes, brother.
I was just gonna say I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I hear you talking, and I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it.
I know you are, because you're there. Let me say this, believe it or not, the hardest part you already did. I don't even know if you see that. The hardest part you are, like anything, what does this word do but rehab us? When the scriptures say be ye transformed, I'm gonna have to go to Colossians chapter 10. I think that's where it's at. Right? And find me the verse, Colossians chapter 3 and verse 10. And read that. Y'all be knowing this is always like preferred above the breakdowns. Don't get me wrong. I love the breakdowns, but there's nothing like hands-on with brothers, man, and helping them get that fucking sword, their power, and defeat Satan. Read that out.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 10. And have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him.
Now, why do I say that the hardest part you've done? The hardest part, when I used to work in corrections, this was the hardest part for people. When they wanted to change and there was no place that they could go to. They had no outside support system. They had nobody just in the next town, just in the same city, but another block. The conditions of their parole didn't allow for them to leave the state where they really, which is what they really needed to. I had cats when I resigned that wanted to leave. I had cats when I first came into the truth and I decided I was going to resign. I put some of my prisoners on a process where they could diminish their time. I had 6 weeks left. I said, nigga, you can get your ass out in 6 weeks, but you have to work. Most High had me bless 3 guys and release them. And I was teaching them. And these guys, grown ass men, cried like babies because I was going to New York and they wanted to come to the school with me. And I would have took their ass to the school with me, but it would have been a violation of their parole. You didn't have that limitation. So the hardest part for you really was over. The hardest part of your journey is behind you. You're in the place of the medicine. Don't pass it up because Christ don't like, just like us, Christ don't take rejection well at all. Not at all. But unlike us, he have this mercy. He have this level of tolerance and long suffering and forbearance and pity that we get all the time in the world. But when we finally have convinced him that this is not what we want, because the scriptures say, if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will, then only a dispensation of the gospel is reserved for me. Once he's convinced of that, we're out of there. And we're never the same either way. We're going to be more wicked. That's in the scripture. Right now, you got that one demon that's trying to stay. And what he's doing, that's him inside you. It says, this motherfucker's toxic. This nigga over, this fucking cocksucker over here, this bastard over there. That's the demon inside you. Christ tell you that when the spirit is cast out of a man, he goeth about dry places, seeking rest and findeth none. Then he said to himself, man, I will go to my own home. Let's talk. And then he says, and when he get there, he find it swept and clean. Damn, somebody clean this place up. So he goes back and take with him what? 7 demons more wicked than himself. And it says the latter state of that man is what? Worse than the former. That's the process that you're under. He's trying to get back in you. He's trying to have you find a reason. He's trying to taint your perspective so that you can find nothing but fault in the house of the Lord. That's what he's trying to do. And what empowers him is our unwillingness. That's why it says, if I do this thing willingly, I have reward. But if I'm going through this thing begrudgingly, then I'm empowering this other person, that demon, the old me, and he done brought back 7 motherfuckers that's way worse than him. And this is real, and I've seen it. I've seen it many times. Let me say this to you, man. This is going to be the last thing for now. I'm going to Yatazah. Finish reading that verse first.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 10.
Verse 10.
And have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him.
Right. That's what it's called, rehab. The hardest part is over. It's having a place that you could go where all those familiar trappings that kept you held back, that fed your weakness, right? That they're there and you want to change, but you can't. The Most High got the hardest part out of you. The rest now is in you. It's up to you. And you have to want this. Because if not, then the Most High tell you, then he will give you over to your own ruin. That's in Ecclesiastes and the Apocrypha. Everything that you're going through now, the cocksuckers and all these motherfuckers guess what it's designed to do? It's the Most High said he's teaching you how to be wise. He's walking you through crooked paths so that you can appreciate the love. We got to feel the hurt first. Then he will, when he says, now let me stop quoting. I'm yet to go to Ecclesiastes and the Apocrypha. Ecclesiastes, is it chapter 4? What is it? Is it chapter 7 or chapter 4? Chapter 7, verse 11. Let me see. Oh, no wonder I'm in the Wisdom of Solomon. I'm like, what the hell? Yes, in chapter 4. All right. I'm yet to start off at verse 11.
Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 4, verse 11. Wisdom exalteth her children, and layeth hold of them that seek her.
So the first thing this process is designed to do for you, brother, and all of us, is to elevate us. This system that we've been through and our punishment that we deserved, the Most High tell you it's done 3 things to us. Many things, but those things have left us, it says, defiled, worn out, and what does it go? And polluted. Polluted, defiled, right? That's Titus Amiyatazah, where it says, to the pure, all things are pure, but to the defiled and unbelieving, nothing is pure. Get that. I'm going to show you what this did. Where this is where we are when we come to the Most High. because this is what he put us through on purpose for our own doing. You got, is that Titus 1 and 9?
Not 1 and 9. It's hold on. It is Titus. I just got to find it.
Is it 1 and 13?
One second.
No, it's 1 and 15. Titus chapter
Okay.
15.
Thank you. Read that out
Yeah,
here. Titus chapter 1 and 15. Now, this is one of the many conditions that our experience, our punishment have left us in. Go ahead.
Titus chapter 1 and verse 15. Unto the pure, all things are pure.
That means if your heart is pure, you can walk in this school and that's what you're going to focus on, even the toxic nigga. Because you know why? Because you're going to say he's toxic, but he's in the right place. And he's contributing in the way that he's contributing. It might not be much, but I just got here and he's contributing more to me. You know he's been here long, but you don't know how you can't even see his improvement. You had to see him before that. You had to see them cats before you met them. They were even worse because the Most High is not giving us a new decade. He's offering us a new life in exchange for our old one, and it takes a lifetime to build a new life. So he's got until either the Most High call him home or until the Most High send Christ to come and get him out. But guess what? In all this toxicity, he's in the right place, and because he was here working through his shit, he's going to get saved. That's called what? Pure. That's a pure perspective. To the pure, all things are pure. You can see the fucking beauty, and that's the truth. Go ahead, read on down.
Titus chapter 1 and verse 15 from the top. Unto the pure, all things are pure. But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure.
See that? That means if that's the spirit that's you in, that means you'll find it says nothing is pure. That means nothing will meet your standard. But we know that that's not true. So that means that impurity is because what? It's because it said to the unbelieving and defiled. This experience have what? Have sullied you. And that's what it was designed to do. I'm going to show you that. So that's one of the things. We're defiled. Then the scripture said we were also polluted. Amayatazah, go to Isaiah chapter 47. It might be verse 6. All right. I have polluted my inheritance. I was wroth with my inheritance. I gave them into your hand, and thou didst show them no mercy. That's what it tells that's what it tells Babylon and what it did to us. You got it? Isaiah 47 and verse 6.
Yeah. Isaiah 47 and verse 6. I was wroth with my people. I've polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand.
No, it's whose hand?
Thou didst show
Esau. This shit done fucked us up. Go ahead.
Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke.
Now, so we're defiled and we're polluted. After this, I'm yet to say we're going to get all three of those definitions. Now, I want you to go to Daniel chapter 7 and read verse 25. You're going to see we're worn out. Our spirits are tired, huh? Because the Most High said this dude would wear out the saints. And that's what we're all working back from. We're all toxic. We're all highly toxic. We should have a fucking, when you see a Wu-Tang Clan thing, that shit should be replaced with those, you know, those radio, when there's something, what is it? Those has, there's a sign, a little signal that hazmat or toxic materials and shit like that. We all supposed to have one of those, but we do. We got one in the spirit. You know, it's a circle with a bunch of little triangles. I think 3 triangles, whatever. That's what we all have in our spirit. But little by little, every month, every day, depending on our activity, it goes fading. Read it on the edges of Daniel chapter 7, verse 25.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
Talking about the fourth beast and that little horn that came out of it that defeated 3 previous horns. It's talking about America and having destroyed and put out the British Empire, the French Empire, and the Spanish Empire. It said this one would speak great words against the Most High. Go ahead.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
Stop. And shall wear out the saints. And that's what you are. You're worn out. And so you don't, what you've seen people worn out. They be driving public transportation on the way to work, fucking knocked out, and on the way from work, just tired. So there's a spirit in you that have to be resuscitated. That have to have the spiritual defibrillators, pump, and brought back to life because you're tired. Then the very same process, what? It tainted, it defiled you. That means you have a tainted perspective. And you're polluted. You have polluted is toxic. And that's what affects, that's why you're in the place, you really are in the perfect place, and nothing is perfect. It's you. Yes, it's him. But how is he operating in his toxicity? We know the toxicity stands up, but is he also doing shit that combats the toxicity and it being brought to his attention and him having to be humbled and counseled? I can guarantee you, I don't know who you're talking about, but he's going through that process because he's still there. And if you ain't going through that process, the only way you could go through that process, be there and not go through that process, is if you did what I did when I was there. And I was make myself unavailable. Always be apart, always disappear. That's what I used to do. That's the only way I wasn't going through the change. So the other people, they were toxic, but they was getting their shit worked on all day, every day, and still being toxic. And if you stayed there long enough, you can see the levels of toxicity was so greatly diminished. But the new person coming in off the street, this nigga toxic. But he don't know the dude been there for 10 years. If he's toxic now like this, imagine what he was 20 years ago. But he's here working and he's available and he's open, so open that you know he's toxic. Because a lot of cats have grown expert in hiding their toxicity. Just by what? Just by isolation. That was me, the expert of hiding the shit through. Nobody can examine you if you're not there. Nobody can see you if you won't open up, if you won't expose yourself. So while they were being worked on, I wasn't. That's why I'm the man to talk about. I know this shit. I know the ins and outs of it. The Most High been working on me since 1988 in this program. That's a long ass time. And yet it's still nothing. You know why I'm glad? The Most High offered me a new life in exchange for my old one, and he gave me a lifetime to get it done. That's fair. I got the rest of my life to get this shit done. Now I am moving with haste. Now, once he showed me the light, once he put me on that deathbed and had that angel take me and show me where I had to go to help people recover themselves, that shit was the most painful thing. The only peace I had was when the Most High pulled me out my body. I've been through that. And I saw myself laying on that bed, and I turned back around after that angel was done with me, and I walked back into my body, turned around, sat back down, laid back down, and when my head hit the pillow, my spirit head hit the pillow inside my head, my eyes opened up and I was in excruciating pain again. But I knew I had work to do. And I've been on fire ever since. And I've been chastised. I know my Dawiyah was the one that gave me the remedy that my liver gave out. I don't know if you remember that, Dawiyah. You gave me the remedy that your mother or your grandmother had that helped her with her liver.
Yeah.
But it took me 3-4 months to recover from that. I was pissing blood, darker red than y'all's shirts. It was dark purple. My feces was the color of that towel around your neck. It felt like I had all of these needles, scorpion pins, and all of that were the signs of a failing liver. And I wasn't about to go to no fucking hospital to have them give me something that was going to toxify my liver more. But I've had that liver problem because my mother, all of my brothers and sisters, and myself included, we were born addicted to heroin. So I was physically toxic as well. Period, point blank. These are the people who the Most High called. And we have to be the medicine. What you got on me, Yetazah? You read Daniel, so now we'll deal with the definitions later. Go back to Ecclesiastes and read verse 11 again. It was chapter 4. The scripture said, wisdom exalteth her. The Most High is trying to raise you up from this misery. But you have to undergo the process. You have to relinquish yourself to the process, and you got to do so willingly. Go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 11. Wisdom exhorteth her children, and layeth hold of them that seek her.
Go ahead.
He that loveth her loveth life, and they that seek to her early shall be filled with joy.
So if you ain't filled with joy, you ain't seeking to her. You got to want her. And wisdom is nothing more than the correct application of knowledge. And when you put this with Ecclesiastes chapter 16, starting at verse 18 to the end, it tells you, you have to put yourself in the hands of those that came before you. You have to come unto her, this experience, as one that ploweth and soweth. And it tells you that you will have not worked very long before you begin to see the benefits. And I'm going to say this out. I came into this work. When I got to New York, I was already doing the work in California. My teacher taught me for about 6 weeks. And I saw it at the 6th week. And I was a nigga. I'll never forget my first day there. I'm in class in Darby Park. I'm sitting on top of this shelf. And when the brother had told me, yeah, man, I knew I was an Israelite already. I had read books. And I saw that book by Ella J. Hughes. And so I had been looking for more. And all of a sudden I go to the gym and they got a stack of flyers that had the same emblem, the Shield of David, that was on that book I read. And I said, hey, Ray, who brought this, man? He's like, hey, man, I was out there getting my car worked on Regent, Manchester. And this brother was out there passing out flyers. And he said, man, he want to share some information about the Bible. And I go, for real? He said, yeah, man, he going to be at this other meeting. We used to be members of this fucking group with this nigga Jesse Lee Peterson. And I was hating them shits. There was a bunch of old ass men that was scared to go into the hood and talk to their people. So they said he was invited there to teach. So we went to that meeting that Saturday. And when he walked in, I saw him, black leather jacket, black fringes, black pants with green fringes. And he had a black turban on with gold, decoration. And his beard was long and curved. And I said, this shit is going to be bad. I'll never forget it. I said, this shit's getting ready to be bad. And they saw that and said the same thing and wouldn't let him speak. Once I jumped on my motorcycle and said, fuck these old motherfuckers. Never forget it. Then Ra'ashas, the brother Ray, he stayed and talked to him and said, man, you can come to the park. We'll let you rap. So he came. I went to the gym Monday and he said, hey, man, he's coming this coming Saturday. We're going to meet him in the rec room. I said, cool. I brought my papers and my notes to take notes. And all of a sudden, it's like 6 weeks later. But in the second week, the brother's like, man, we ain't got no notes. And I was like, don't worry, I'm taking notes. I get it from everybody. That's like the second week. 4 weeks after that, Kawakab, you got the notes? And I'm like, man, y'all niggas is grown ass men. You should have been taking your notes. Because that's the only week in the world. I was a nigga. And Ariana said, listen, brother, I sat right here and heard you tell all them brothers that you were going to get them the notes. And by the way, brothers, he's right. The first day I came, he's the only one that I saw with notes. Y'all are grown men. You wouldn't expect for this one man to do all of your notes. Then he looked at me and said, you going to keep that word? When you going to have the notes? This was Saturday number 6. And I said, I'll have them next Saturday. And guess what happened? I went to that foster home, sat in that damn garage, took a bunch of Bibles and took all my notes. And the Most High said, now this was in my mind. I know it's the Most High now. He said, you got to take all these topics and go through all the verses and put them in an order as if you were having a speech that wanted to flow. But it took me I was working every night till 3 and 4 in the morning. I went to the place, got them copied, made 7 staple copies, kept one for myself and gave it to the other 6 brothers. And guess what happened that night, brother? My voices were screaming inside my head. Scriptures. I was hearing scriptures break that he was putting it in me. And I didn't know it. I just thought my mind was active because of what I had been doing for 7 straight days. But guess what happened? So I get to class that Saturday. First thing I said, brother, you got the notes? I said, yeah, brother, I do. I went past everybody out there, a little packed to them thick. He taught us a whole lot in 6 weeks. And then from that moment, he went to teaching. And everything that he mentioned, I was calling out a scripture, a book, chapter, and verse. And in about the fifth one, he goes, damn, man, you've been studying, huh? I said, man, I ain't had no time to study. I'm putting all the notes together for these niggas. That's just what I said. He like, brother, that was studying. And from that moment on, I could not forget anything that I read. Literally, the most time I had pictures of where, even now, I still operate like that. It's faded, but everything that I go by where I saw it on what page and what section of the page that it was on. It's amazing. Now, back in the days, their brothers called me the walking concordance. So I did that, and that was when the light came on. And after that, I was sharing this knowledge with everybody, teaching. There was this brother named, well, first of all, it was Ray, Zion, and myself. And between the three of us, we started sharing it with people. Ray was like 40 something back then, like 42. I was 24. And he was sharing it with the people his age. So he taught and shared it with this brother named Smitty, who was a Vietnam vet. I talked to this brother named Paris. I talked to a whole bunch of brothers. And that class was filled. But here was the deal. Brother, the Most High had showed me right then and there. That's what it was about. And now that you got all the, Ariala disappeared. He disappeared. And he was gone for 6 months. And the spirit kept telling me that I had to leave and go to New York. And the words it was saying was, you have to drink from the same fountain that he drank from. And I didn't know what and in my mind, I was thinking, well, you know what? The Most High done pretty just dropped this knowledge on us. And now he's off someplace else doing the same thing that he did for us. And so I continued class for like a year, man, teaching everybody until the Most High finally said, don't wait anymore, go. I went, I packed up my bags. I let Zion know. I said, man, I'm leaving. Zion said, well, I'm coming with you. I went by Zion's house, and guess what happened? Ariana called that night. The Most High, boom, what y'all doing? I said, no, we taking off to New York tonight. For real? He's like, oh shit, can y'all stop by here? He was living all the way on the other side from the freeway. He was living in Eagle Rock. I said, yeah, man. We took him to the safe, the list of all the congregation members and all the tithes that they had paid. And we gave him the safe. He opened the safe, counted the money, gave it to us and said, this is y'all's work, man. You're gonna need it when you get to New York. And I never looked back. I've been busy every day. I got to New York on Thursday. Can somebody get an almanac? Do me a favor. I mean, you have to look up an almanac and put it on the screen. Put June 1991. I want to see if my memory serves me. I know it was a Thursday, but I don't know if it was the 23rd or the 26th or the 28th. But that's when I got to New York, and I know it was a Thursday because it was our Flatbush Church Day, and I had never been there before. I just drove right down the Brooklyn Bridge, and the brother said, I saw Flatbush. I said, they said Flatbush on Thursdays. And I walked right into it, Flatbush Church, on the corner with this Catholic church in a graveyard. And I ain't looked back since. And it's been the greatest thing. And I went through what you're going through. And the greatest obstacle that existed was me. But from the time that I got there, a year and 3 months later, the Most High sent me out on the road to be a part of a team that would build that school and all the other schools on the West Coast at the time, and in Oklahoma, and in Miami, and in Philadelphia, and in Brockton. That's what draw our attention to one another. When I mentioned that I had been in Brockton with that whole Cape Verde crew up there, man, you know, that the Most High used that to call your attention. What is June 1991, Thursday? Look at that. It was, listen, hold up, there it is. Thank you, it was the 20, is that 2TTT? It was the 20th. There you go. That was the day I got there. And I left on Tuesday, that 18th. That's what it was. I left then. That was cold, man. That was a hell of a day. I left on the 18th, and I jumped in my Jeep CJ7 Renegade and drove nonstop. Stopped off in Albuquerque because my windshield wipers got blown off by a storm. And I didn't know the Most High was walking me through steps that we would come back to. Thank you, Amayetazah. So this whole process is about being raised up, I can elevate it from our pitiful, worn out, defiled, polluted position. Read on down. I'll be back in chapter 4, and you're going to read verse 13.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 13. He that holdeth her fast shall inherit her, he that holdeth her fast shall inherit glory. And wheresoever she entereth, the Lord will bless.
So now when it says wisdom, you need to know that it's talking about the ability to take what you're learning and exercise it to the benefit of those that are being taught and to yourself. That's what wisdom is. And we know that because there are 2 parables that Christ said, what shall I take, or what shall I liken the man that have this knowledge, that taketh this word and doeth it? I would liken him unto a man that built his house upon a rock. And when the waves came and when the winds came and beat upon that house, he said that house did not fall because it was built upon a rock. That's how. But then he said, what shall I liken the man that hath this word and doeth it not? I would liken it unto him that built his house upon the sand. And when the waves and the winds came and beat upon it, it fell, and great was the fall of it because he built his house on the sand. That means you got this knowledge and you won't use it. But it tells you here that whoever she does enter into, the Lord will bless. The reason why it says it's she is because people think the Holy Spirit is a woman. It's not, a female. It's the first thing that a man is what? Espouses himself to. And that's what Wisdom of Solomon tells you. He said, I saw this wisdom and I saw the fruits and I decided to take her home to spouse with me. That's why it's referred to as a she. It is truly our first love. And Revelation tell you that. Because you have left your first love, right? This is it. This is the thing that makes us do anything and leave anything and suffer anything. Go ahead, read on down, verse 14.
Verse 14. They that serve her shall minister to the Holy One.
The minister to means to serve. Minister to means to serve. The Most High is going to use you as a servant. Go ahead.
And them that love her, the Lord doth love.
Now, when it says them that love her, it's not the thing. It's the process that gives you the thing. It's the process that you undergo that gives you the ability to know what to do in any circumstance. That's what wisdom is. And those that love the process, the Most High love. So when it comes down to it, it's not toxic. The Most High is building up your spiritual immune system. And like the body, how does our immune system get built? By the more different types of toxic bacteria and shit. He's building it. Read on down.
Verse 15. Whoso giveth ear unto her shall judge the nations.
The Most High is using her, this process, to raise up the world's governors of the future. Now in Texas alone, being a big state, Texas and every government, let's say whether it's the state, municipal, cities, and things like that, you know that there have got to be way more than 144,000 Texas state government employees. The Most High is taking 144,000 men and they're going to judge and govern the whole world. And you could be one of those men. That's why he said, he whoso giveth ear unto her shall judge the nation. Continue on the Yetazah.
And he that attendeth unto her shall dwell securely.
That means the Most High got your back. Securely means just that. That's what people are looking for, security, stability. But the stability lies in service to the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 16. If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her. And his generations shall hold her in possession.
That's talking about if you commit, see how you committed. Commit means what? Okay, you're not supposed to not recognize the toxicity. You're supposed to say, shit, all right, let's get to work. That's how you commit. And if you do, the Most High say what? That your posterity, your generation, that means your children, listen, you're protecting the son that you don't have access to right now. I've been through that. And now LT is out here teaching people. He's out here, he's out here holding down Amayata's classes.
Yeah.
It's cold,
and doing a great job.
and his mother took him away when he was 2 years old. And then from 19 years old up until now, this month, the end of this month, he's gonna be 24. Brother, he's grown in leaps and bounds, and he had some shit out. You know how you bitch ass mothers is running around here bringing faggots to the house, got him calling faggots uncle this and auntie that.
All right.
Yeah, man, you right, brother?
Man, my ex took my oldest son away at 2.
Yep.
It's,
But
it's
go ahead.
nah, it's just crazy that I'm just thankful for these testimonies.
And listen, I'm gonna tell you what, if you give yourself wholeheartedly, that's your seed, not hers. She's just being a custodian. Ain't really much you can do with a little baby any fucking way. But by the time they need to be made into a man, the Most High is gonna release it. It happened with the brother Harak Malak in Albuquerque. I'll never forget Harak Malak, 6'7", big old dude, mad as hell when his ex-wife sends a picture of his son, 11 years old, in a fucking ballet tutu with them little nuts hanging out in front. He was ready to run. He was ready to break. I said, listen, I said, I was laughing too, because it's funny seeing little boys dressed like, I understand why he was mad. But I said, he ain't shit you can do. I said, what happens is the Most High got you here building something. I sat him and I said, now this is what's going to take place. I said, bro, he's 11. I said, she got maximum 2-3 more years before the streets are calling off to this 14-year-old Detroit boy. I said, by the time he's 16, I told him this. I said, she's going to call you and beg you to take him off her hands. And she did. Because he nigga was a gangbanger. He scared the shit out of her. He was a 16-year-old, 6'2", 225 motherfucker. And Harar called me and said, Carl Cobb, man. He had that voice like this. Man, Carl Cobb, this nigga got here talking. He said, Carl, I had to beat this motherfucker with my hands, man. I had to beat this nigga with I had to fight his ass like a man. Broke his ass. Listen out, but he broke his ass out. Rodney Ferguson Jr. played football at the University of New Mexico. Did good too. Okay. Listen out, women are the destroyers of men. So you have to commit yourself to the Most High for you and your son's sake. Then you got, while doing it, that means you have to forget about it. LT will tell you. You know, his mother tells him, man, your daddy's last words to me was, don't forget the car seats. That's last, and he grew up and didn't understand. He found it humorous now, because she says, I'm leaving, I'm taking the kids. I went outside to the Suburban, took the car seats out, brought them in the house and laid them on the fucking sofa in the living room and said, don't forget these, and left. Called Shamchuan, I'm going to the school. This one we was on, the house on Glenview, man. You know, the brother's house. And he was on the side with the 3 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms. I was living on the other side with the 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And I said, listen, man, somebody's coming to pick her up. She leaving me, brother. I said, just make sure you keep your eye on it. Listen, make sure that they don't be tearing shit up, because you know how motherfuckers are. I said, I'm going to be at the school. This is when the school was on Guadalupe. I said, I'm going to be at the school. As soon as you see them get out in the car and leave, call me and I'm coming back. And about 3 hours later, hey, brother, I just saw them leave. He said, but they came out laughing, man. They all came out snipping like they had did something. I said, it ain't some shit that can't be fixed. And all it was she took my laptop. She took all my holistic information, my books. I was studying to be a naturopath doctor. I was already a licensed, not a licensed, but a registered herbologist and iridologist and reflexologist. I was working on being able to come here and keep myself alive through food, man, and heal myself, and it worked. But she destroyed all of that. And I said, you know what, that shit could be, it's up here. So this is what happened. I never looked back, never, until she called and was like, you know, Carl Cobb, he scares me. He's running around the house screaming. And it's like he's you. It's like you raised him. She said, that's sorry. She called me certain shit you can't teach. You know, every now and then I come in all this, it's just you running around the house screaming, right? And I said, all right, send him out here. But who would have thought that same day she would take him to the fucking airport, she would take her daughter to the damn abortion clinic. Most High didn't want him growing up around that shit. So my daughter got nixed. She got nixed. And the one that matters to the Most High got saved. You had your hand raised, brother. Go ahead.
So you're saying that you got your son back by ignoring him, by forgetting about him?
Hell yes.
Yep.
Yes. Exactly.
Hey, Carl,
The same thing happened to Amiyatazar.
Carl, can I speak?
Go ahead. I come use the restroom.
Okay, yeah, I love the word that you just used a moment there when you said that the women, the mothers are just custodians, you know, because what I've experienced over the past few years is even today is just phenomenal, because when the mother of my child, you know, took my daughter away, first of all, Kalkab told me it was going to happen. And it happened within a month of him prophesying it, effectively. So she took the child, and Kalkab just said to me, you know what, just focus on, you know, working on yourself, focus on serving the flock of the Most High, you know, serving the Most High, looking into the Spirit. And, you know, as he just said, as long as you're doing the right thing by the Most High is protecting that child. Don't even, you know, worry about, you know, what's going on over there. The Most High's got you, you know, and to the point now where at the time when the mother of my child took my child away, she was insisting, no, she's got to be with me. It's gonna be better for her in the Bahamas. My child is 6 now, right? And her mother is literally insisting that my daughter come to England to live with me permanently. And I'm like, no, you can have her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I need my space. I need to stay focused. You know what I'm saying? But this woman is insisting. Like, even my brother said to me the other day, he's like, oh, I spoke to my daughter and her mother, and her mother insisted again, yeah, she's got to come to England. You know? But that's like 4 years after she took her away, you know? And in that time, I've just been focusing on the Most High. I've just been just growing in the Spirit, not concerning myself with, you know, what's going on over there, you know, not getting into the finer details, not getting stressed out that she's not raising my child how I wanted to, you know, to raise her. You know, obviously, my daughter was with me for 6 months, and she was telling me that, you know, her mother was feeding her, you know, pork and all this other stuff that, you know, we're not supposed to be eating. And I told my daughter, don't eat that rubbish. To the point now where my daughter's calling her mom and telling her mom, oh, you shouldn't be eating that. You shouldn't be eating pepperonis and shrimp and all that stuff. At 6 years old, you know, she locked in. And so now she's gone back now, and like the Most High gave me that time to just really impart my spirit upon her, and His spirit upon her. And now she's gone again. Now I don't think about it again. Now I'm just focusing on the work again. That period that I was with her, that the Most High confirmed to me everything Kalkab said to me, that the Most High is protecting this child. That there's nothing that the mother or whoever the mother brings into the child's life can do to affect that child. As long as I'm right with the Most High, the child's protected, the child's good. It's good when you're reunited with that child, and you will be reunited with that child, it will be like, you know, there was never a way. And as Kalkab said, you know, LT's there, you know what I'm saying, taking my classes, and I'm listening to this dude, and I'm just like, wow, like LT's like what? I think he said 24. And we got people in our congregation that are like in their 60s and 70s. And LT's rolling on these cats like, I'm looking at him like, look at this dude. Do you know what I'm saying? The power that was on this guy, the spirit he was teaching out of. I'm sitting there like, I've got to get older. I've got to get sharper. Do you know what I'm saying? But it was just amazing to see, as Kalkab said, LT was taken away from Kalkab from what? 2 years old.
From 2 years old.
You know, from 2 years old, and now LT's been reunited with Kalkab, what, maybe what, 2 years now, 3 years?
Yeah, since May of 2017.
So that's 4 years. 4 years now, right? And just hearing, you know what I'm saying, like just seeing the way he thinks, hearing the wisdom. I'm just like, wow, like you really just have to let these kids go. You really do, because if you if you are preoccupying yourself on, I'm saying, these kids that aren't that you really have no influence over because the woman's taking them away and they're so far away from you, you're only going to be weaker in the spirit. And not only will you not be effective, you know, in doing the work of the Most High, because your spirit isn't fully present, right? By the time these kids do come back to you, you're gonna have nothing to offer them.
Right. You would have built nothing. Hold on. You would have built nothing. You would have contributed to building nothing. You would have acquired nothing. When I say acquired, no, I'm talking about not material. I'm talking about what is needed to be able to direct them. LT came here, had to be built up. What I thought I was going to use to build him, the Most High took that shit away with COVID. Or I should say even before, our business got thrown away. Then we got 1 year, we got 10 months for me to work with him in the setting on what you guys are doing out there with Eastern Oils. And then the Most High took that away. But guess what? Shit, he's blowing up the other areas out, the teaching, man. So let me say this, you do have to, the Most High, let me say this. You asked the question before with these restrooms. I forgot about him. Hell yeah, and I never thought about it. His mom called one time, gave me his cell phone. See, this nigga's 10 years old, you bought him a cell phone? I never used it. I would tell my sons about their sisters and brothers in other places, and they went over on the car and be like, listen, I said, he doesn't exist when it's time. I told my son, I said, he don't exist until he's 18. I said, 18 years old, the Most High is going to stir his spirit up, and by 19, he'll be here. And guess what happened? Most High stirred his spirit up, and he was 19 when he came. Literally.
Hey,
Yeah, brother.
hey, man, my son right now, because he left at 2, he's 15 now.
Yep.
He's literally at his mom's house, man. Like he's awaiting the next 3 years of high school, like a prison sentence.
That's what it was for LT. Let me say this out. In 2002, I received a call in the grand opening of my store. Rashwan, I'm putting a sign up. And Rashwan said, call the phone, man. She ain't gave nobody his number yet. Get on the phone, it's her. Your son wants to speak to you. He's 5 years old, been fighting in school. The principal says, we asked him, what will it take to get him to behave? And he said, I want to talk to my father. They called him from the principal's office. They called me. And he said, Daddy, I want to come out there and live with you.
Wow.
And guess what happened? She took the phone from him. You know, he gets so overwhelmed and he really doesn't know how to express himself. And I said, you know what? I said, Lord, he's in your hands. I've got a grand opening to deal with. And that's what I went and did. I never thought about him. Because you know why? The Most High want that out. He that loveth his son more than me, he that loveth his daughter. And even his own life. He that seeketh his life shall lose it. So I trust, I believe him. And at that point, I had been through so much. This was in 2002. Shit, I had already been in 88 since the truth, man. Shit, she didn't come into my life until 1993. He wasn't born until 1997. I had already seen miracles from the Most High. I had every reason to say, let me put this motherfucker in the rearview mirror and then break the mirror. That's what I did. I shit you not. He'll tell you, I never got a call, nothing. You know why? Because I was in there to show the Most High. I know this. And at the time that she would call, I recognized, I didn't get happy. I got annoyed because I know what? She's trying to distract me. It ain't about remedies. And I ain't got no time for no little 5-year-old boy. That's what happened, Doc. And the Most High, and all of that, it was so that I could get this. I mean, you got a few more verses. Read verse 16 again.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 16.
Now remember, this is you in the acquisition. This is you, a man being put under the dynamic that through which he acquires wisdom. Go ahead.
If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generations shall hold her in possession.
Now I'm telling you that is real. LT's already got it and building it now. O'Reilly already got it and building it. Go ahead.
For at the first she
Now
will
hold
walk
on.
with him.
For at the first, meaning the first stage of the wisdom that you get, go ahead.
For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline.
Now stop right there. So that means everything that you went through before you came to this and relinquished yourself, the Most High was tormenting you. Why? Through the decisions that you make, not having favorable outcomes. He was trying to get you to be disciplined. It says crooked ways. That means all the wrong things. But it just so happens that in those crooked paths, we just happen to get what? Defiled on the way up. We just happen to be worn out at the end of it all. We just happen to be what? We just happen to be polluted. But if we wasn't then all that is that you bear the signs of punishment. You bear the signs of Deuteronomy. So that's why Christ said, "Ye that are heavy burden, come unto me, and I will give you rest. For my yoke is light, and I am lowly in spirit." That means what? Look up lowly. It means no self-esteem. He said, I don't give a shit about. I don't think of nothing about this world. Come and you know what this has been? It has been a rest. Because I have my desire to be something. That shit was extinguished with the knowledge that the Most High is going to destroy this place. My desire to be quote a prominent figure in this setting was made clear by the only way you can get it is if you serve Satan. All of these things the Most High put in perspective. So that worn out, defiled, and polluted person that I was, this was the process. That was the end of what? Of the torment, of the crooked ways. But I needed that so that by the time the Most High would show me this, I would want it. And I came into the midst of a bunch of brothers that's just been through the same thing that I've been through. They're no more toxic or no less toxic than me. That's all. We're a bunch of fucking nigga ass swamp things. That's what we are. We're a bunch of swamp things from this toxic, these ghettos and these barrios and these colonias and all of this shit, huh? But that's what was the Most High teaching us to what? To fear doing wrong. Teaching us to fear choosing the wrong woman, putting our seed in any old monster. Just for that however many seconds or hours of pleasure, now you running around here with a monster for a mother of a child. That taught me how to look for the right woman, how to wait. The brothers taught me how to take them through the process that proved whether or not they were worthy to even be with me. Just like the Most High used my son and all these other kids that he took from me to prove whether or not I was worthy to be with him. But that came at the end of the crooked path. Read that verse again. I'm yet to verse 17.
Verse 17. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws.
So that means the Most High is going to put you through hard times until he see that he can trust you. That means you're listening. That means you're adhering. Now that's what he did. All of that is behind you. That's how he got you to the school. You didn't show them that what? You're trustworthy in the spirit, your soul. You really do want this. But listen up. Go ahead, Amiyatazam.
Verse 18. Then will she return the straight way unto him, and comfort him, and show him her secrets.
And that's what you're there for. You're there to be comforted. You're there to have mysteries and secrets of the Most High revealed to you. But you can't do that retaining your toxicity. You can't do that by being in a spirit or in a mentality where everyone else's toxicity stands out but your own. That's what this period is for. That's why he said, then she will return the straight way unto him. You're finding what this is about. This is about relinquishing your life because the Most High wants to use you as an agent to rebuild your people. And that's you're not the only one this happened to. This happened to us wherever we are all over the world. This happened to us. And we brought it on ourselves, our fathers, through disobedience. So now that we got the straight way, the Most High is showing us how it's done. Whereas division took our nation down, unity is going to rebuild it in Christ. That's the reality. So whereas we can find all the ways to pick and find fault, we're supposed to overlook the fault and be used as agents to help them rebuild themselves. When I see people like that, I'll be shit. Let me at them. I'll be up for the challenge, because I know as deep as the pain go, that's as deep as the power. The power is hidden under all of that. When I say hidden, meaning the potential for the power in Christ to work in you is hidden under all of that pain and all of that fear and all of that isolation. If you just allow it, if you take these scriptures that for us serves as a pickaxe so we can start digging and mining. We got to mine the virtue. It's down there deep, and only the scriptures is the pickaxe that can get us through all of the hardness of our heart. So that I found it, big ass fucking chunk of gold. And the Most High said, He have refined you, but He said He's doing it through the what? Furnace of affliction. That's how you get to the goal. And it says then will she return the straight way unto him and comfort him and show him her secrets. Amayatazah, verse 19, final verse.
Verse 19. But if he go wrong, she will forsake him and give him over to his own ruin.
You stand right now between verse 18 and 19. Either you're going to take this experience and be shown the right way, or you're going to relinquish it and be given up to your own ruin. That's where you stand right now. You have to take these scriptures and take power and take control of your destiny in Christ. And you have to do what it takes to convert that person into your strongest ally. That cocksucker that you referred to, your mission is to do what it takes to make him your strongest ally, because he's in the same place and on the same team. And even if you never achieve that because of him, look at what you will have gathered with Christ because of your endless intent to do so. That's how you get the power, brother. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. They'll benefit from it, and then they may even be moved to go and follow your example, but seek to make those your greatest ally. And the scriptures tell you how to do that. You got to care and serve them. That's why Christ said, what difference is it between you and the Pharisees if you only love who love you? If you only treat those who treat you good? He said, but you want to be perfect like your Father in heaven? He said, then you what? Then those that despitefully treat you, you treat them, you pray for them. I be trying to, brother, what's my saying? If I could just get somebody to see it. If I could just get somebody to see the power out. Yes, brother.
What I get from it pretty much is to, like I was saying earlier, put that mirror in front of you.
Yeah.
That way you can see the impurity in all of those. You know, when you brush your teeth in the morning, you got all the little stains and shit on you. Now you gotta figure out, all right, now I got this paper towel, I got this Windex. Let me see what I can do to go ahead and get a clean mirror. So when I see this reflection in me, I see a clean version rather than
right. And not that spotted version. I know what you're saying, Art. So that's what it is, Art. You're in the hospital. You're with the physicians. The physicians just also happen to be what? The patients as well, Art. We're patient physicians, Art. We're each other's doctors, man. Then you know the old saying, the what is it? The patients, the insane are running the asylum. That's us. But it's the Spirit of Christ that's working in you and that's reaching out to you and that brought you to a camp, to a congregation that have a legacy of fighting for one another. That place was established in December of 1992. And it has been through hell and it's still there fighting for each other. And we done weathered some shit, some evil shit, but it's still there. It is the sword of truth. All right, brother?
I'll message you later, all right, man?
Okay, brother. All righty. Well, brother, it's that time. I'm glad class ended up like that. Now, let me say this. So that means next week, we're going to pick back up at 2 Chronicles chapter 36. We'll start off at verse 1 again and get through it, okay? But once again, what are we doing? We're breaking down Romans chapter 11, and we just happen to be on verse 12. So we're exhausting all the places that verse 12 tells us about how the nations got our, how the Gentiles received our wealth and our riches.
Right.
All right.
Yahweh smash up the thumb.
Y'all about to smash up her thumb.
I'm a Yatzar. You got to be there before me tomorrow.
I will be.
It's all. I'm a Yatzar, brother. We'll talk, brother.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I got to call you. Okay.